Is there a role for diplomacy in lowering tensions with North Korea right now? This question comes up a lot because clearly tensions are escalating. The North Koreans launched a series of missile tests since Donald Trump took office as president, and the rhetoric from the U.S. has been pretty tough about the provocative behavior of North Koreans, even some signs on the ground that the Koreans may be preparing to do another test of a nuclear device. So is there a way to use diplomacy to scale back what the North Koreans are doing, or at least to lower tensions? Well, I think unfortunately at the moment the answer is probably no. If you step back and look at the history of attempts at diplomacy with North Korea over the last 2 or 3 decades, it's not a very promising record. In the 1990s, there was something called the Agreed Framework with the U.S., which seemed to be an agreement in which the North Koreans would back away from their nuclear and missile programs, but that fell apart. In the 2000s, in the George W. Bush period, there was something called the Six-Party Framework Talks, which seemed to produce an agreement that might have brought an end to the nuclear ambitions of the North Koreans, or at least slowed down those nuclear ambitions. That also fell apart. And in the Obama term, there was something that the administration in Washington called strategic patience, which was to not engage directly with the North Koreans in diplomatic conversations, but to leave that possibility out there, but only if the North Koreans changed their behavior. That didn't go anywhere. And in the view of most American officials, the reasons these things have all fallen apart was basically disingenuous behavior on the part of the North Koreans, using diplomacy to try to ease pressure while continuing to move down the nuclear path and the long-range missile path at the same time. So the Trump administration obviously isn't in the mood to continue that. It's talking about using diplomacy, but for a completely different reason, talking to other nations besides North Korea to increase international economic pressure and international diplomatic pressure on North Korea, not to engage them directly in conversations. So that's the path we're on right now. I think long run, if the North Koreans do in fact feel the pressure and want to back away from their nuclear ambitions, there's going to have to be a diplomatic track of some kind that will allow them an exit path. But right now, that seems a long ways off.